Welcome to Industry Ignited, the podcast that sparks bold conversations with the leaders lighting the way in industrial, manufacturing, and B2B sectors. I'm your host, Dr. Leanne Aguilar, and today I'm honored to welcome a guest whose leadership story is both inspiring and deeply human. John Wieland is the CEO of MH Equipment, one of the largest and fastest growing material handling service providers in the country. Since acquiring the company in 1994, John has grown MH from just 50 employees to more than 1,100 across 30 plus locations. But his success isn't just measured in expansion, it's rooted in purpose. John is also the author of Uncommon Threads, a candid, personal account of an unlikely and imperfect business leader who wove together the threads of faith, family, and business to find his saving grace, and who now encourages others to do the same. Today, we'll dive into his business journey, his leadership philosophy, and the uncommon threads that connect it all. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Leanne. I'm looking forward to this.
You're welcome. So, John, take us back to 1994. What made you take the leap to acquire MH Equipment, and what was your vision for the company at that time?
Why I took the leap is I'm a bean counter by trade. I worked for one of the major accounting firms, and for 8 years I audited this company, MH Equipment, and it was virtually bankrupt. It wasn't a complicated business. It didn't have a R&D division or that type of stuff. It was parts, service, rentals, and I felt like if that company was properly capitalized and management was a little more engaged, it could be successful. So in 1994, Hyster was ready to make a move on the ownership, and the reason Hyster, the supplier, was going to make the decision is they were going to have to write off $1 million because it was virtually bankrupt. I'm 35 years old. I have no entrepreneurial experience. I have no mechanical skills. Why did they choose me? And life is about timing. I was in the right place at the right time. God is sovereign, and they said yes. And so that was the impetus of buying it. In regards to the vision and the desire, I had one desire when I bought MH Equipment, and that was simply do not go bankrupt. That was it. Nothing else. So
just don't go bankrupt. So that was your ultimate goal at the beginning, is just to stay afloat, stay in business, and that's pretty straightforward and simple.
Yeah. Well, I will say this, 31 years later, I still have one primary goal. Yeah. Don't go bankrupt.
And I hear you. I mean, with the times change so quickly. I mean, the economy changes. There's so much fluctuation that I think that's a great goal, honestly. So many businesses aren't fortunate to make it through all of the hard times. Yeah. So MH started as one of the smallest Hyster forklift dealers in the country. What were some of the early challenges you faced as a new owner, and how did you overcome them?
So in 1994, again, no experience. I was at the lowest level of incompetence. I didn't know what I didn't know. And so what was my saving grace in 1994, we had like 5 years of a great economy. And a great economy will always cover a multitude of sins. And so a lot of mistakes, I was making, I was able to not suffer the ultimate, penalty because the economy was really good and we were learning along the way, and it has just been an ongoing process of learning how to sharpen your skill set and your craft over the years. But I was lucky that we had some great years to help me through those mistakes I made.
Yeah, so good timing. So just being fortunate and good timing. So now you've grown to over 30 plus locations across 11 states. Was this expansion part of a master plan, or do you feel like it evolved organically? Was there more luck involved? What was the secret there?
Yeah, so there was no master plan. My master plan was don't go bankrupt. And I've been in here for 31 years. We have never had a strategic planning session in regards to where do we want to be in 3 years or 5 years. Our strategic planning position is to be flexible for the opportunities as they present themselves. And our growth has come through organic and then obviously a lot of acquisitions.
And are these acquisitions something that you've sought out, or do they present themselves to you?
A little bit of both. We've sought them out, buying other Heister and Yale dealers contiguous to our original footprint. And then we've bought some other tangential business. Some of them have stayed and worked out well. Some of them blew up in flames. You really don't want to get too far away from your core business, especially if you don't know what you're doing there. And so it's been a combination of both. We've had spurts of tremendous growth, and then we've had periods where we just haven't grown from acquisitions for 5 or 8 years or something.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm hearing that it really is organic in a sense. Then you're filling things out as it goes along. You're looking at opportunities as they present themselves. And so what I hear is that you really, I guess, honed the skill of learning what a good opportunity looks like and when to take advantage of it. And not that it's been perfect along the way. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. All right. So looking at your philosophy and culture, you've said before that staying humble, grateful, and hungry is a guiding principle for MH. How do you keep that spirit alive as the company scales?
Well, one of the best things to do is someone once asked me, we were supporting a ministry for a long time, and he sent me an email and said, did you know that you've actually given this much money to our organization over the years? We are just so grateful, type of a thing. And he ended it with, how do you stay humble? And I saw that and I immediately wrote back and I said, well, it's easy because I know who I am. We all have shadows. We all have things that we're not proud of. And always remember that we have shadows and we're an imperfect people, and that keeps you grounded. And we want to have a organization that just wants to grow responsibly now. Earlier on, we grew probably irresponsibly. I tripled the size of the company in 3 months, and then I almost doubled it in another 2 years, and I got by with it. It probably wasn't the smartest thing in the world, but we try to live out those values. And if the leadership is living them out and leaning into the lieutenants, we can create a culture where we do have a culture we can be proud of.
So when you say you know who you are, I guess that really comes down to values, right? Like what you value. So what are the things that you value most as a leader, and how do you reinforce those throughout your organization?
Well, the primary value that we have is like all people matter and are due honor and respect. There are companies that they want that as well, and to obtain that, they have developed a DEI department and DEI statements. And we don't have a DEI department. We don't have a DEI statement, but we have this. We will treat all people with dignity and respect. You don't have to agree with somebody's philosophy of life. You don't have to agree with mine. But one thing that we're going to all agree to is that we're going to treat each other with dignity and respect. I mean, we have some females that are in a same-sex marriage, and if you would ask them, what does John think about same-sex marriage, they very well could say, that's probably not his cup of tea, but I love working here. Why would you love working there? Because I'm treated with honor and respect. And if anybody harassed me, I think John would strangle them. And so every 2 years we do a employee survey where we ask our employees 37 questions. And the top 3 rated questions, 2 years after 2 years after 2 years, are number 1, I love our foundation, which we'll get into. 2, I've never been asked to do something unethical. And 3, I've never been discriminated against based on my age, religion, sex, sexual orientation, or anything. And so it's just really simple to keep a basic value of treating all people with dignity and respect.
Of that, and that makes sense if your values are foundational. I mean, if they are interwoven into how you do business, then policies aren't really needed, hypothetically. So if everyone lives actually by the values, if they're not just something that, you write in a statement and put on the wall, but you actually embody them and everyone lives to them, then it's not needed to be on a policies that are enforced, that kind of thing, because they're already just part of your fabric.
Well, and that's how we live. I mean, probably 15 years ago in one of our branches, it was a larger branch, we had a technician, and we want our employment to reflect the color scheme of the community. And so we like that type of diversity, and we had a technician that was that was a person of color, and another technician kind of got into it with him, and he said, "Hey, if you do that one more time, I'm going to take you out and I'm going to lynch you." Okay? And so it was brought to my attention, and this technician who said that had been with us for 20 years. We talked to him and said basically 2 things. You're a moron and you're fired. You're just fired. To say lynch to a person of color is like one of the most demeaning things that you could say. And I don't care if you've been here for 2 days or 25 years, you are going to treat people with dignity and respect. So.
Yeah, I hear your commitment to that too, just making sure that everyone feels safe in their environment, that everyone feels respected, like you said, and can live their lives being themselves, just adhering to your values. And so it doesn't matter if they have differing personal beliefs, but as long as everyone treats each other well and with dignity and respect, then you can all get along.
Well, I mean, there's some DEI statements that says we will embrace and celebrate all forms of diversity. And to be honest with you, Leanne, that's just illogical. That can't happen. I mean, would you expect a faithful Muslim to embrace and celebrate my Easter Sunday? Absolutely not. And so if you stand for everything, you stand for nothing. So we have to create a space where people can disagree about everything, and it's okay, but just treat people with dignity and respect. And it has worked out very well at MH Equipment. When we do those surveys, all of the top rated responses are value, culture stuff. The bottom ones are tactical stuff. Something's got to be last in those, something's got to be 37. And it's like, tactically we can do this and this better. But to be honest with you, our secret sauce is our culture, and we're so happy. If I had to pick 3 of the 37 questions to be in the top 3, it would be those 3. So we're happy about that.
Yeah, and with 1,100 plus employees, culture is no small feat. How do you ensure that MH's culture stays strong and consistent across such a vast geography?
So we have about 18 people on our executive team. We meet 8 times a year, and at the beginning of every meeting, we audibly read our vision, our mission, our values, and then one of the executive members, they will lean into one aspect of the vision, mission, and values and explain how that is, playing out in their world. We encourage when people have service manager meetings or service meetings and part meetings to go through the mission, vision, and values. I expect my leaders to actually know that mission, vision, and values by heart, to be able to actually almost quote it. Because if you don't know what it is, how are you going to live it? And if the leaders aren't living it, how do you think the lieutenants will live it? And so we are definitely an imperfect company, as everyone is. But we really strive to bring up those values and the culture that we want every chance that we get.
Right. Yeah. Staying present to who you are, like you said. And I mean, I own a marketing company, and one of the first things we do when we get to know a new client and we do a brand assessment, for example, is exactly that. It's like we want to know their story, we want to know their vision, their values, and yeah, their mission, vision, values, because everything we create has to be true to who they are. We have to speak and I mean, we're giving their company a voice, let's say through a website or materials or video, etc. But being aligned with who they are and what they're out to accomplish. And I mean, it starts within. It starts, like you said, at the top with the leadership, and then that has to be communicated throughout your employees first, and then out to the general population, to your target audience. And I mean, it is foundational. And yeah, I love that you're staying true to that, and that's guiding you.
Well, it definitely it starts from the top of the organization. I will say that one time our supplier did bring in a strategic planning person. Okay, I said I've never done a strategic planning. Well, someone did pay for like a 3-day deal, and after the end of the 3 days, the head of the strategic team said that. She had worked with armed forces, she had worked with top 100 companies, and she said that she's never met a company whose mission, vision, and values is so closely aligned with reality. It is disappointing for employees to see vision, mission, values on the wall and it's not close to reality. It creates resentment and disengagement. And so if someone's listening, you probably want to lean in. Is what we're saying on the wall reality? And if it's not, either change your mission, vision, and values or change your behavior.
Yeah. I agree, because if the people at the top especially aren't walking the walk and talking the talk, then why should anybody else? Why they are the example. They are the ones, guiding the ship. They're, setting the course. So if they're not demonstrating what it means to live by your mission, vision, values, then why should the employees? Yeah, exactly. All right. So let's talk a little bit about navigating change and the industry, trends. The material handling and logistic industry has seen huge shifts in the past few years, like automation, supply chain pressures, labor challenges, etc. What trends are you most focused on right now?
Yeah, well, it is. The industry is moving more towards some automated guided stuff, unmanned mobile equipment, and we're trying to stay on top of that. And in regards to the supply chain, I mean, in regards to labor, we do have labor. I mean, we have like 1,100 employees, 600 are technicians, which means they go out and they work on mobile equipment. The average age of our technician is probably in their mid 50s. And so we have an aged workforce, and replacing them is going to be a challenge. But fortunately, uh, skilled trade schools are having a renewed uh, energy about them. And so we want to make sure that we're connecting with those trade schools to bring in young men and women. And, you know, anytime we hire a female technician, I'm a happy guy that day because we don't have many female technicians, and I would love to have more female technicians. And so those are two of the things that we're focusing on right now is how to navigate that.
And there isn't a huge opportunity, like you said, in a need for technicians in general. Um, and the trades are very valuable and they can be very lucrative as well. So that is interesting and good to keep in mind. And yeah, it's no shame in being a tradesman or woman. So,
And you can make, you know, you can make really good money. I
yeah,
mean, uh,
absolutely.
the average pay, the average pay is probably $30. I think we have technicians that have make over $40 an hour, and then you add overtime on top of that. Uh, you definitely can make a good living.
Yeah, no, trades are extremely valuable and needed like crazy. So, like you said, anybody listening, encourage the young ones to go into the trades if they have the inclination. So, how has MH equipment adapted to meeting the challenging needs of your customers in today's environment?
So, uh, MH equipment, like I said before, we're not necessarily innovators. We don't have an R&D department. That's why it's so critical to align yourself with a good OEM slash suppliers. OEM means original equipment manufacturers, because they're the ones that got the R&D. They're the ones that are looking at innovation, and we partner with them, but they're the ones that should create that. From MH equipment standpoint, where we have done innovation is about 12, 15 years ago, we developed a proprietary fleet software program. And that actually was probably the best fleet software program in the nation. Now, there's a lot of other fleet software programs, and I will say it's interesting because it kind of looks like what we had, which is
Right?
okay.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, uh, that doesn't concern me at all because if they have the exact same fleet software program as we did, that doesn't mean that they're going to use it. We believe it. We live it. We have a passion for it. And so a lot of people have the same opportunity in an area, but they don't have the same ambition or passion for it. And so we've worked very, very hard about being a one of our value statements for our customers is that we will be consultative in nature, transparent in practice, and passionate about being a good steward of their money. And we are like dead set on being a good steward. They entrust us with their equipment. And I always tell our technicians, you got the five magic words for your customers. And it's not, I will do it for free, which someone guessed. I said, no, it's not that one,
You're right.
but it's if it was my money. We're supposed to be the content expert, and I want our technicians to always be thinking, if it was my money, I wouldn't spend another dime on this piece of equipment, even though we make money repairing things. And so that whole essence of stewardship throughout the organization is huge for us.
Yeah. And I'm sure that instills a lot of trust with your customers as well. I know sometimes in certain industries, like let's say HVAC, the companies will get a bad reputation because they'll try to sell equipment when it's not necessarily needed. They're just trying, the customer doesn't know better, and so they're trying to, instead of repairing it, make the extra money by replacing the equipment. So I know that sometimes there are unethical practices like that. So it's yeah, good to hear that yeah, you have that value system and that thought pattern of if it were you, you know, put yourself in the customer's shoes and what would you
And
do?
again, I want to encourage or clarify. Look, we're not a perfect company. I mean, we screw up, but I will say that we generally want to do the next right thing. I mean, our balance sheet is very healthy, so it makes it a much easier place to always do the right thing. You know, so.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about legacy and looking forward. Um, well, first of all, though, looking backwards, what are you most proud of in MH's journey?
Well, I'll tell you a little story because it was the watershed moment of MH Equipment. Like, we bought the company in 1994. By 2000, we had a lot of organic growth. People started saying, "John, you're a genius. Everything you touch, it turns to gold." And, you know, uh, compliments are really nice unless you start believing them. And so I started believing that, hey, I'm kind of like a genius, even though I didn't know how to spell genius. But anyway, we bought two companies within 3 months at the end of 2000, and we tripled the size of the company. And I was feeling pretty spry about myself. And in January of 2001, the market shifted. Now, remember I said a good economy will cover a multitude of sins. A bad economy will uncover every sin you have, okay? And so in January, we lost $100,000. And my incredible leadership at that time was, well, I hope that doesn't happen again. In February, it didn't. We lost 200,000.
No.
And my executive team finally came to me and said, "Hey, John, what's your title?" "I'm the CEO." "Well, do you think you should start doing something to save the company and make some decisions?" And by the end of June, we had lost $700,000. And back then, our existence was starting to be in question. And I finally had to actually lead, not because I was good, but because I had to. But then we thought that my wife and I, we do have a desire to support ministries and mercy ministries and all that type of stuff. And we always thought that we would give money when we take money out of the company. We didn't ever take money out of the company. And so we decided to start a foundation called His First Foundation, where we would give 10% of our net income or actual, whichever is greater, to this foundation to come alongside our employees' passions. Now, the executive team was like, "I love that idea. We will start on January 1st of 2002. I said, "I'm sorry, man. I just feel convicted. We need to start in July, going this month." And they're like, "What? We just lost." And so they ended up coming around, and since that day, MH Equipment has invested over $35 million into not-for-profit and charitable organizations.
That's amazing.
And it was just that decision. And that was truly the watershed moment of the company. And so we look back at that with fond memories.
Yeah. And how do you think that shifted your company, like employees, the attitude by taking that step?
Well, remember when I said those 37 questions, and the very top rated questions was, "We love the foundation." And so there is, and I call 3 employees every week, and I ask them the same 5 questions. And the first question is, what, if anything, do you like about working at MH Equipment? And probably at least half of the respondents says, I love the way we invest in our communities. I love the foundation. We do a Purpose Unites campaign where people withhold money for 6 pay periods, and then the foundation triples it. And for like the last 4 years, we've given over $200,000 to local food banks across our footprint. We do Operation Christmas Child, those shoe boxes that go around, you got hygiene and little toys. Goes across the world. Last year alone, MH Equipment did over 11,000 boxes with only 1,100 people. And so, yes, it has turned the culture, birds of a feather flock together. And so people that see that, criminy, they're giving a lot of money back to their communities, and they're going to support things that I love, that can be a pretty attractive place to work.
Yeah, so it shows the heart of your organization. And like you said, it will inspire and attract people who have the same heart. And if you are aligned in alignment with the company that you're working with, then that in itself is motivational, is what I'm hearing. Yeah. Right. So what does success look like for MH Equipment? So looking forward now.
Uh, Probably faithfulness. Faithfulness to the resources that we've been trusted with. Faithfulness trying to be good employers. We've got like 1,100 families that are counting on the executive team not to screw things up. Faithful to our customers. And so I think just faithfulness in regards to living out the business of philosophy that we've had up to this point in time. You never arrive, and so we're always trying to get a little sharper, a little better, and so from so that one would be faithful on what we're doing, and then two, continue to be open to the opportunities as they present themselves. When we started, if someone said, "Hey, you're going to be a $500 million company," I would have said, you're like on drugs or something. And now, I don't know, will we be at $1 billion in 5 years? That would be fun. Am I going to chase it? No, I'm not going to chase that. I always say if you chase numbers, you make bad decisions. And so, again, our strategy has always been be perceptive and be flexible for the opportunities as they present themselves.
Yeah. And out of curiosity, do you do like leadership development in order to keep people aligned and on the same page?
We do management training here. In regards to our technician training, the people that work on mobile equipment, I give us probably a B on that. And how we do in regards to management training, I would give it a C minus. But I'm very happy because 2 years ago it was an out and out F. So we've actually gone from an F to a C minus, and we're because one thing is like, okay, you can't have a management training session for 2 days and then that's your training. It has to be ongoing, and we're not doing the ongoing very well. And so we have that on our table to figure that out.
Yeah. Okay, but like you said, always growing, always learning, always room for improvement. Yeah, you never arrive, like you said. So finally, to those leaders listening, especially those growing small to mid-sized companies, what advice would you give them for leading with integrity through growth?
Okay, so people that are starting business wanting to grow something, there's going to be a couple things I want to share with you. And one, from an eternal perspective, our destination is critically important, and I encourage people to figure out that. But from an earthly perspective, the destination is always death. he who has the most money, they still die. Okay?
Yeah.
And so I just want to make sure people understand from an earthly standpoint, it is never the destination, because the destination is death. So, what can be different for each of us is the journey we choose. And so, I would choose a journey where your family and your neighbors and your communities are better off because you live, and that will bring joy and meaning to you and your little world. So I'd love people to hear that. And the other thing is, people that start out with business, always be concerned about the health of the enterprise, not the wealth of the individual. If you pursue personal wealth when you acquire a company, you're probably going to lose both. But if you, from a secular standpoint, if you bow to your enterprise and make sure that that is a healthy enterprise, there's a good chance that you could come up having a healthy enterprise and also have some money in your pocket.
Yeah, so the wealth or personal wealth is a byproduct then of the success of the company. So if you focus on the company, make it successful, in turn, that will be a result, is what I'm hearing, instead of the opposite way where you're focusing on yourself and then the company gets neglected and then in the end you lose everything. So,
Absolutely, and you know, so often people buy something and they're like in a leadership pursuit, and then they start thinking about the perks of leadership, of perks of ownership, and it's like, guys, that needs to be the last thing you're thinking about.
yes.
That's the last thing you should be thinking about is perks of ownership. It is the responsibility of ownership in creating a healthy company, and don't go out buying toys because you bought a company. I still drive a Ford Fusion,
Right.
you know, with 100,000 miles on it, and you know, it is a mindset of making sure that your company is healthy. And I want to say, I'm not saying maximize profits. I'm just saying healthy.
hmm Yeah. Yeah, and a heart for the servant leadership and right, just not having but I think that's what a leader has to do. I mean, it's like the shepherd with their flocks, right? The ultimate goal is to keep the flocks healthy. Otherwise, you're not a leader. So you've got to keep your people happy, your company healthy. Otherwise, you're not doing your job, basically. Yeah. Well, John, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a real pleasure learning about your leadership journey and your heart for people and your commitment to building something meaningful, both in business and in life. Truly an inspiration. And for those of you listening, I highly recommend John's book as well. You can learn a lot more about his leadership journey and his personal journey, which is incredibly inspiring as well. His book is Uncommon Threads, and it's a powerful story of authenticity, transformation, and encouragement for anyone walking the path of leadership. You can purchase his book at uncommonthreadsbook.com or download the audiobook on Amazon, which is what I did, and listen to it during my exercise. But again, I highly recommend it. So until next time, stay bold, stay grounded, and keep igniting industry. And thank you so much, John.
Thank you, Leanne.
All right.